Okay, here again with ETBU football head coach Mark Sartain, getting ready for his fifth season as head coach of the Tigers here. As we get here in the middle of the offseason, Coach, I know it's a busy time for you guys in a lot of areas, but throwing it all in here, we started spring ball. Not quite finished with the workouts yet, but you guys are really rolling through those things. Just kind of talk a little bit here real quickly about where you think you guys are right now in terms of your spring preparation and as the schedule here going forward in spring.
Well, we're having a good spring. We're dead in the middle. We've just completed our second week of spring ball. So we've completed 8 on-the-field workouts as well as our 8 morning conditioning sessions. Those have been significantly more intense, significantly more demanding, and we're getting real good responses from our players. They're really excited about the intensity and the pressure that they have to improve. We've had a great off season in the weight room with the kids in the voluntary phase, just really getting stronger, and we broke about 10 or 12 weight room records, which where they were already at is a significant accomplishment because they were already relatively high. So we had a great winter in the weight room. I think we've got 5 guys on our football team that are benching over 400 pounds. We've got about 6 that are squatting over 600, and we've got about a dozen that are hang cleaning 350 or more, and that's just incredible. And at the end of our spring football drills, we'll time in the 40s and vertical jumps and pro agilities and things like that, and hopefully knock a few more of those records off. But right now we're a very experienced team on the field. 16 returning starters, as many as 22 seniors could possibly be on a roster next year. So spring's progressed very quickly on the offensive side of the ball. They're really further along than they were at the end of the season this year as far as what they have on, what they understand, and what we're executing well. Defensively, we brought in a new defensive coordinator in Randy Pippen. Basically, what he's done is come in and tried to mesh his system, his schemes, to what we were already doing. We're trying to keep as much commonality as we can, as much flow in the learning process, and we're moving along well. The guys are picking it up well, but we've got an added measure of intensity this spring that we haven't noticed in previous springs. We've got a much higher degree of competitiveness individually and positionally than we've ever seen. And the guys are picking up on that. They're having a great time. We're enjoying the sport. You know, we've got a different kind of team. It's a very chatty, loud, kind of fun-loving bunch that we haven't had as a group yet to this point. And it really, reminds me of some of the more successful teams that I've coached in the past that they enjoy the game of football, and they'll do anything they have to do to get to play that game. And I think that's going to be a good motivating factor for us, and I think that's going to be a difference maker this year.
You mentioned the upperclassmen experience and returning starters. Overall, just looking at your numbers, I mean, you got some pretty good numbers out there for it to be this time of the year. I mean, you really, have got a pretty good squad out there here in the spring. And by all accounts, we've had a pretty good recruiting year so far to this point. So, what were some of the goals going into your spring coming off of last season? Maybe some things that as a coaching staff you wanted to see your guys accomplish throughout the spring training period.
Well, it's typically in the off season it's really more psychological and mental than physical, quite honestly. And we want to set a tone. We want to create a mindset. We want to develop an attitude, sort of a team personality. And I think that's really coming to the surface now. As far as the physical is concerned, we want to progress. We want to become comfortable. We want to correct some of the mistakes we've made in the past and enhance and improve some of the things that we've not been efficient at as well. But that overall competitiveness and the tempo at which we practice and play and the mindset that we take when we step onto that field every day, an intensity level, a seriousness about what we're doing, yet a fun-loving attitude toward that. I think that's all really falling into place. I'm really excited about the demeanor of our football team. I'm excited about the intensity level and the tempo that we're moving around at and doing things at. It's a collegiate. It's appearing as a collegiate tempo to me in very obvious ways. So I think we're moving in the right direction, and I think our team leadership, one of the guys mentioned this morning in our leadership meeting that it feels like we've been playing since Little League together, and there's more of us that have been doing that. We've got 22 seniors, and we've never had more than 12 in the program. So it's just it's a different climate altogether, and we don't believe. One of the things we're fighting is that sense of entitlement that we might have carry out of the off season. So we do have all of our statistical leaders returning. We do have the 16 starters returning. We got 22 seniors. The people that finished ahead of us in conference play lose impact players. So it's going to be a challenge to keep from moving out of this spring feeling some entitlement. And we continue to encourage our guys not to think that way. That the hard work, the discipline, the experience, the success is not an entitling factor. It's just a positioning factor. We're putting ourselves in a position to be successful, but by no means have we been entitled to that. So we're gonna make sure we emphasize that, and we don't walk into next fall expecting things to happen for us, but expecting to do things ourselves.
You mentioned about halfway through now. You guys have scheduled a spring game of sorts to kind of cap off the spring later this month. Talk about what's going to be involved with that.
Well, it'll be involved with our last day of spring ball, and in that day we'll start off with a big lineman's challenge. We get the big guys involved with some strength events, like strongman type activities, and it's for points toward their units' final totals, and then we'll move into our 7-on-7 competition, which that's the extent of which we can actually perform a spring game, and then we'll hopefully cap that all off with the final and deciding competition for our off-season units. We divide them up into 8 units and 4 companies, and they compete day to day for accountability as well as some sort of physical competition, and that culminates in that last event that hopefully will decide the champion that gets to go on the record board back in the back hall and that sort of thing, and that's always exciting. And then we're going to have a cookout. We're going to cook burgers and dogs and have the guys hang out, and we're inviting all of our verbal commits, all the guys who have chosen to continue their careers here to come onto our campus again and mingle with us and hang out with us for that afternoon, watch us practice, have a hot dog and enjoy the atmosphere.